everything's coming up greener.
Here's Harold Matthews. He is
The Garden Doctor. The Garden Doctor.
Hello, Connorsville, and welcome to the Garden Doctor Show. We're live right here. Me
Are you
and
sure? Live?
Mrs. Garden Doctor. We're back from an extended trip to New
Very.
Hampshire, up to the New England's beautiful country up there. Average temperature, I think the whole time we were up there was negative something. I'm not sure exactly what.
It was freezing. I know
Yeah, it was cold, but it was wonderful, lovely. Cold up there is a relative term because if it's not 25 below zero, it's not really bothersome. You know, you still go out, you still ski, you still snowmobile, you still snowshoe, you still hunt, you still ice fish. You still do everything.
Wait a minute. I didn't do any of those things.
I know. I don't know what happened to you, but
don't
no,
know.
we had some health issues up there, and so we spent a little bit more time than we had planned on. But her father had a hip replacement, and he's doing fantastic. He said he doesn't even realize that he has a replacement hip. Least pain he's felt in years. Doing very, very well with that. And then her son, David. He came back with us. He had some major health issues and is still confronted with some very serious issues and will very likely have to have open heart surgery. And so we appreciate all of your good thoughts on that. There was so much that went on while we were up there that it's going to be difficult to cover. And I had a beautiful narrative that I had done with the photographs. And of course, I forgot to check it before I left. So later I'm going to show you some photographs from New England. And you can see the beauty that only exists in the mountains. There's a lot of pictures I would like to share with you. I took millions of them. And there's every place you turn is a postcard. It's just beautiful up there. But we're back down here, and we thought that because we're back down in Indiana, we thought we'd bring a little bit of New Hampshire with us and see if everybody really concentrated real hard, we couldn't make it maybe snow tomorrow. And, you know, just so that you guys would have a little taste. And
They're going to pull the plug on you any minute. Because it's going to snow tonight. That's what they're saying.
17 degrees
snow.
tonight. 17 degrees. I don't even know. What is the date today? What
The
is the date?
24th, I think.
The 24th of March.
And you are live sitting right here in the
17
studio. I
degrees.
can't believe it. I thought we'd never get back.
I know, it's taken a while. And the temperature is, even though it's going to get a little better at the end of the week, there's still a good chance that this year we will have a frost well into May. Now, does that mean that you just throw up your hands and go away? No.
Yes, that's what it
No,
means.
it does
I'm
not.
throwing up my hands and I'm not
Let
having
me
a
tell you
garden.
what's going on in New Hampshire right now.
Okay.
And by seeing the photographs that I'm going to show you later, you'll see what the conditions are up there. But they had 5 foot of snow. I think 7 foot in some areas of New England, and that's not near a record. 15, 20 foot is more of a record. The snowpack was beautiful this year. The skiing and everything was fabulous. Snowmobiling was fabulous, and there is still on the ground about 4 foot of snow, and they're expecting 6 to 8 inches tomorrow. So it's going to be an extended, beautiful holiday up there in New England. So
I'm sure they're jumping for
if
joy.
and the people in New Hampshire, they definitely celebrate a long winter.
They're a little bit sick of it right
Well,
now, too, at this
some of
point.
them
Come
are,
on,
the
it
one
is the
end.
first day of spring. Everybody's over
We
the
have
snow.
relatives. We have relatives that are in the sugaring business, so they tap trees with thousands and thousands of trees. Just about everybody in our family at one time or another has or is about to do sugaring. Her father had his own
But
sugar
it
house.
has to get above freezing during the day and below
Well,
freezing at night for
But
the
those
sap
those
to
conditions
run.
are coming. By the way,
that's
this is a
spring.
live show, so if you've got a question or something you want to interrupt us from all of this reminiscing, you may call in, give us a question. We'll try to answer it. We got a bunch of questions. We had enough mail we thought we were Santa Claus, for crying out loud. We had our mail held, and then it was forwarded, and then it was held, and then it was forwarded. The mail was so confused that when we went to grab it, it wiggled away. So we had this giant stack of mail that we started opening and then looking at and then listening to on the answering machine and so forth. And we can't possibly get through all of the questions, but we're going to do the best we can. But if you have a question and you're watching us live, you're the one we want to talk to first. So call in if you have a notion. Now, what the heck was I talking about? Oh yeah, everybody in our family does something to do with has something to do with the out of doors. Loggers, everybody in the family is a logger. Matter of fact, I helped my brother do some logging this winter. We've got some pictures of that. I would not want to do it for a living. That's why I moved away from New Hampshire. I wanted to grow trees, not cut them down. But it was kind of nice to go out and do, and it is a renewable resource. And it's amazing to go in the woods, select a tree, cut this tree down, put it on a truck, take it to my father-in-law's house, cut it into lumber, and build something with it. One day it was standing, the next day, shwacko, and it's furniture in the backside of the house, or it's smoke. You know, my father-in-law is famous for saying everything makes smoke. And my brother-in-law says everything that bad wood makes crooked smoke, but it's still smoke. So
This is true.
they're either in the logging business or the sugaring business or the snowmobiling. We've got Bill that just got back from the Marines, served his time, and he's out now. He's working for a ski lodge. The other one is, let's see, Shane is
Shane,
Shane
your
and
nephew.
his
Yeah,
wife
they
just had a baby, 9 pounds something, a boy, has a lovely name of Harold.
That's in the middle somewhere. That's not first.
Yeah, but I know, but it's
It's
where
in there.
it's in there. It's in
That's
there.
right.
It's Harold something. It doesn't matter what all these other names are, as long as Harold's in there. And then there's somebody else in the family had a baby too.
Another nephew or niece, Kayla. And her
Kayla
husband.
and
Travis.
Travis Taylor. Kayla and Travis. Yeah, they just wait. But they had a very healthy child, and the one before that is a healthy boy as well.
And you know, while we were out of town, we missed our granddaughter
Taylor. That was Taylor.
And our granddaughter Taylor had her 7th birthday while we were away. We did not make it to her birthday party. She said to me the other day, Meme, I wish you could have been at my birthday party, and I wish we could have been there too. But we didn't make this one. We're hopefully never going to miss another one.
Well, if I'm fishing, they got to come to me. They want the
not
cake.
right.
They have to, hey. But yeah, we're sorry that we miss any ball game or anything. But sometimes that just happens. Now, as I said, there was so much that we had going on in New Hampshire. There was a lot of illness that kept us there.
We had some very serious issues. Aside from my father's hip replacement, also my aunt, who is 70 years old now, who had gone almost completely blind, had eye surgery, and
She's
she is
disabled to begin with.
special needs handicapped person who's always lived at home for all of her life, and she was almost completely blind. Everything was fuzzy to her. Had eye surgery, and now has vision that is 20/30, better than mine, seeing the world for the first time.
Now they not only took off a cataract, but they put an implant in. A lens implant that corrected her vision.
Yep.
To the point where she can read a magazine.
Oh,
and
yes, from across the room.
This lady could not recognize you except by your voice.
Yep.
And she only knew how to get around places that she was familiar with.
And that was just miraculous. I'm bringing her to the doctor's office. I just cried to see what she was able to see now. And on top of that, we had some bad problems up there. My son, who's 33 years old, almost died. He was on life support for 2.5 weeks. He spent 2 months in a hospital in Rhode Island, where I spent the majority of my time for 2 months. And he has come back with us to Indiana, hopefully to be treated by some of the best heart doctors here, or in the country, actually, right here in Indianapolis. So he is here with us, currently in congestive heart failure, but hopefully to have open heart surgery when he gets strong enough to correct a valve problem. So, but so much been going on, and trying to catch up with just regular life since we've been back with our own doctors and appointments and issues.
Oh yeah. I still need, let's see, one of these.
Yeah, both of them. You still only have not one good hand.
Climbing trees is not a problem. Getting back down is the problem. So,
Just jump.
yeah, just jump. Just let go, because that's what happens. I run a chainsaw, and all of a sudden the chainsaw's laying on the ground. But
You go to get a cup of coffee, a coffee cup ends
coffee
up
cups
on the ground,
on the ground.
you know?
Yeah. So yeah, I need these
Whole lot
surgeries. I've
going
needed
on.
it for quite some time, and hopefully this is the year for mending and fixing of us. We need to slow down and do some catch up
And
ourselves.
there's been a whole lot of new things. Unfortunately, doing everything for the first time without our little dog Tiny.
Oh yes, we
Going
miss
across
Tiny.
country, going for walks, doing just everyday little things without our dog. I don't
Back
know
up.
how long this takes to get over, but
Back up home, I lost Uncle Jimmy and Uncle Junior both in the same year. That was quite a blow as
a
well.
lot of things going on. But we have to feel so blessed for what we do have, for recoveries that have been made, progresses that are being made. It seems like when things are the worst, you can really appreciate the good things that are the best.
Well,
so
my
that's all you
sister's
can do.
my sister's husband, Bing, his cochlear implant, totally deaf, could not hear anything. Communication was next to impossible. It
Yeah.
was Bing communicated with you, but all you did was listen.
Or we went to a restaurant to eat dinner, and he would just sit there by himself pretty much in his own little world, and he just looked so lost because you couldn't communicate with him. Got a cochlear implant and can hear again. It's a miracle.
He can hear,
It's amazing.
it's absolutely amazing. He's 75, right? 74, 75. Hey, you can't talk
Sorry,
and
I
drink
was
at the
really
same time?
thirsty all of a sudden.
What is this? You see the guy with the little puppet there? I love him. Who is he? What is he? He's got the puppet.
Jeff Dunham.
Jeff Dunham.
Dunham.
That's
I like
the one.
Him.
Yeah, I
he's
like
pretty
him.
funny.
Yeah, do that. Drink water and say something. I want to see.
Yeah, I can. I'll have a puddle.
Okay, so we got all of these questions, and we also are we're eager to get in our garden. Before I forget, and hopefully I'll mention it one more time later on, the most important thing that you can do to give you a little bit of an edge on the garden, because we are late. We really should have been planting at the 1st of March, end of February, 1st of March in this area. Oftentimes you can get out and work the garden. The only problem that you have is that the garden is too wet, so you have to dry it out in order to get out there and work it. But once you do that, then you can put in broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, radishes, carrots. All of the cold weather crops can be sowed early, and you will get a much better crop out of them by getting them in early, because the bugs haven't woke up yet.
Well, I haven't been early enough to have good broccoli or cauliflower in years now. I usually
But when
am
you did
very
have it,
late.
it was because you were early.
Yes, absolutely.
Early
and
is the
beautiful.
trick to
Yes.
those, and you see them growing right now. If you take a bend down through Pennsylvania, there are fields full of broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts, and kale.
Well, why didn't we just stop there?
They're just a little bit south of this line, but the most important thing that you can do right now is to cover the area that you select for an early garden with clear plastic. That clear plastic will act as a greenhouse. It'll dry out the soil, warm up the soil, temperature will increase. The insects will be they will wake up, they'll hatch. You'll also get weed seeds to germinate. And then you, in a night like this, 27 to 17 degrees, you rip the cover off, and Mother Nature takes care of itself. So you have a natural process where you're weeding, getting rid of insects and disease, drying the soil out, and all you did to attain that is to put clear plastic over. Now you can do it like the old timers used to do with glass. They used to take glass out of old buildings and stuff and just make an A-frame or even a one-sided lean-to.
Does that type of putting plastic over the soil, does it not maybe allow moisture to escape? Wouldn't that keep in condensation?
You can get some condensation, but the heat and the dryness will definitely combat that, and the cold is coming up out of the soil. So the condensation normally is the other way around. When it's like if you have a real cold night, you're going to get a lot of condensation on the inside, as opposed to if it's a real hot day, it's just going to melt off. So.
Okay.
There is condensation, but it'll usually run to the outside if you've got it
Yeah, leave it to
pyramided
me
up.
to throw a wrench in the works.
No, that's a good question. But if you have it pyramided all or lean to, then all the condensation will go down to one side. It comes up out of the soil, hits the plastic, and goes to the side. So now, if you do that, if you lay the plastic out, warm up a section of your ground, pull that off, spade the ground. Try not to till it too much. People tend to just chew that 14 different directions, and that's not a good thing. It takes all of the oxygen, all of the air out of the ground, and a lot of the good insects are chewed up, and you work the ground too much, and it makes it hard packed when it comes summertime and dries out. So just break the ground enough, and if you can make a ball, then it's too wet to till. So if you make a ball and it crumbles, you're good to go. Till it down, let it dry a little bit in the sunlight during the daytime. Do it a second time if you must, to go a little bit deeper. Work in your fertilizers, any nutrient balances that you may need to put in there. And you need to know, run a little pH test, for crying out loud. If you're on the negative side of the pH too far, you can add lime. If you're on the positive side, which I don't know much ground around here that is, but you can add sulfur or other agents that will drop the pH.
Now we actually have a method that we use that has added to the soil as well as it's
Put
recycled.
a nipple on this thing.
Well, here, you can have mine.
Never mind. Go ahead.
Well, okay, now you've see what you did? Okay, we use bales of straw as an insulator around our outbuildings and what have you. And then when we plant our plants in the garden, we use the pats of straw in between the plants after they've been planted as a mulch. And it is a fabulous mulch. You may get an occasional stray weed in between
Would you
the
call
pats
those
of,
pats?
I don't know, what are they? You know, those little sections of straw like that wide,
Okay.
you take them apart. And you just put those pieces down in
Pats.
between. Yeah, pats. Is that what
Pats
they
of
are?
straw.
Pats of straw.
Write that
Okay.
down. All of you farmers that didn't know what you were using all these years, those were pats.
Okay, well, we use that as mulch in between our plants.
Yes, we do.
And then, of course, it decays all winter, and then in the spring, when you're tilling, you are tilling that straw into the soil.
Most
and
of the
adding
time,
nutrients.
if you're putting on flake or
Yeah, flakes. That's what I was
you
trying
can
to
call
think
it,
of.
if you want to be flaky and call it a
Don't
pat.
call me names.
Go to it.
Okay.
So when we're putting these cubes, sections of straw out there, a little bit too thick in the spring to just till down. So what I try to do is scatter them out first. Let them decay a little bit more in the spring, and then till them down. Sometimes I take them off completely, till the ground, and put them back under the next layer.
But they are the greatest
Oh,
weed
they're
control.
fantastic.
I think we use Garden
Fantastic.
Green maybe one time. We pull weeds once, maybe twice, and really that's about it. We have weed-free garden. for the
Now
most
you
part.
will, depending on the straw that you get, you have a tendency to get some seed from that. So you could have
We
a
got
lot of.
some one year that we never got rid of the
Oh, it was-
grass
that
it
was
grew.
oats
Okay,
straw.
never got rid of the grass.
Yeah.
There's whatever it grew ever again. We abandoned that section of the garden altogether.
Well, that straw came from an old school that the straw had been stored there for, I don't know, 100 years. No, probably 10,
you told me
15
that'll
years.
keep down the weeds. I had a lawn in
Oh
between my plants.
gosh,
It was horrible.
terrible. Now, we also at times use used carpet. Especially indoor-outdoor carpet is exceptional for weed blanket. And you just cut it the size of the path between the plants. Wait till the plants get big enough, of course. You're going to hoe and till a little bit to keep the soil broken up. And then when it's time to prevent weeds instead of pull them, you got your plants good and strong. They're up a little bit. Then cut the carpet that'll just fit between the plants. Unroll it. Put something on there to hold it down. Sometimes even upside down is a good idea, because then you're getting the fibers that hold the moisture and everything into the soil down underneath, and the plastic on top to stop evaporation. So that's worked out
Well, one
very
of
well
the
for
important parts of that we did find out the hard way is at the end of the season when you're done with your garden, you have to roll this carpet and take it up, because if you don't, part of it will decay into the soil, and next year when you till, you will have pieces of
It will
carpet
be a
wound
mess.
up in your tiller from now until doomsday. So
But
you
if
have
you
to
use-
take it back up,
If you
whereas
use
the straw you don't.
indoor-outdoor carpet, you're a lot less likely to have that issue. A couple of years I get out of the indoor-outdoor if you roll it up in the fall and put it up and put it back down. What were the questions that came in there?
Oh, I don't know. What about what about the things that are starting to come up right now? We're expecting some more frost, and we've already got sprouts on some things. At least one of these questions says
there's
they
a lot
do.
of.
I haven't seen any personally.
People are going out and cleaning up their yards. It's not a good time to clean your yard. You need to wait, be a little patient. Leave the leaves in the beds. Leave the
covering and protecting.
Yeah,
those new
leave the
shoots.
debris that's on the grasses for a while. And if you're going to cut the grasses off, leave a little bit of a top. Not very much. You don't want much because it's messy as all get out. You want to cut them about 2 inches high, but nothing more than that. But it's better to just leave them for a little while and cut them later. And later, I'm only talking a few days. I think within a week we'll be straightened out with this. We'll be able to look at the short-term and the long-term forecast and see what's going on. I was going to check the almanac, and see what the forecast was for this year.
But apparently we haven't purchased one this year.
Yeah, apparently we haven't. You know, the almanac, however, predicted this winter almost to a T. I looked it up just before we left New Hampshire, and it was predicting a long, hard, cold winter. A lot of sub-zero temperatures in the Midwest and in New England. It was predicting deeper snows at most of the.
Did you know?
Pretty close.
A little piece of trivia here that by satellite image they saw that the Great Lakes had more ice, more covered area of the lake of ice this year than there has been in I don't know how many years of recorded history.
Not all the way back in recorded history, was it?
Well, I don't know how many
Great
years,
Lakes,
but in a long time, yeah.
The Great Lakes only freezes over on occasion, about every 20,
there's
25
more ice
years.
cover this year than there has been in
That's
a long
because we
time.
had consistent cold weather, and that should have made for a fabulous waterfowl season that I wasn't here to partake.
Oh, well.
But those things
one
happen.
thing I'll bet you couldn't predict is what the rabbits did to everything in our yard. I don't know about anybody else, but when we got back,
we had a bunch of letters about rabbits. And rabbits are definitely an issue, as well as deer. And the reason is because of the bottleneck.
Well, I know some hunters in the family who would love to help you take care of that
and
problem.
That's exactly what.
What do you do?
Well, there are some areas where you just can't hunt them, or where it's just not feasible, like in town when the rabbit population.
It's terrible. There is not a stalk of a plant in our yard that is not gnawed. It looks like a deer rub on it, you know?
Well, it's called the absence of Tiny.
Well, this is
Because
true.
she
My
used to
dog, Tiny.
keep the rabbits under control.
She could catch a rabbit faster than any dog I've ever seen, and this is literally what she would do: is grab it and snap its neck. And she did this over and over.
Yeah. Very
she kept
effective.
the baby rats' nests under population, under
Rabbit's
control.
nest or rat's nest?
Rabbits' nests, right?
Okay.
Rabbits.
No, you said rats.
Did I say rats?
That's all right.
Okay, rabbits.
We don't
And
have rats at the house, folks.
Now we don't have Tiny, and their rabbits are taking over the universe.
we actually don't have that many rabbits either, but we do have.
But they're hungry then.
As far as I know, we have 2, perhaps 3. But it doesn't
They
matter
did all
because
that eating?
they had
No.
no way to get to the grass. So the only thing they could get to was, because everything that they feed on was buried.
Well, that's true. You guys
is
had
the
snow
stems.
cover here, yeah.
So wherever the snow coverage is, if it's 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot, that's where the rabbits eat, is at that level.
Well, they ate
and
everything.
the only thing they had to eat was the bark and the cambium layer of the young plants. They ate the. They love burning bush. Euonymus elatus
They
compacta.
sure did.
I'm not sure why, but they really love it. It's
Tore
sweet.
it up.
They eat the apples. They eat blackberries,
They did a job on that
raspberries. Did they eat the holly?
Yes, they did. And it was half dead.
And they eat all the way around so that they actually kill the plant from there up.
I don't know if they'll survive, will they?
Well, I'm not sure. Now, I sprayed before we left all of my fruit plants with a combination of bitters for the prevention and the repelling of rabbits.
Did you check our fruit trees?
But it's only, yeah, I did. There's 3 of them that are completely
Oh, no.
shot. But this spray is only good for, it says right on the package, only good for like 5 rains or 4
Oh,
rains.
well, that's
and
long
about
over.
45 days. Well, I didn't plan on being gone.
No,
you
we
know,
didn't
forever.
plan on a whole lot of things this
I
winter.
would strongly recommend. Now, there's a couple of really, really good products on the market, and one of them is this repellent. This
The
rabbit
Critter
repellent.
Ritter?
Critter Ritter is all right, but there's actually a couple other ones that that do an exceptional job. You mix them up, you put them on as a spray. Now, another thing that you can do that people oftentimes don't consider, and that is they will put on.
I don't know where she's going.
Spray the base of the plant with a paint. Now, they used to use whitewash, but if you use just a paint like it's called pruning sealer, and you spray it on. If you use a pruning sealer on the base of your trees where the rabbits have eaten, then that may protect them from future damage. It may also prevent them from chewing in the first place. So this has a little tar in it. It has some rubber base in it. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do. Wrapping the plants. They have a tree wrap.
Or you can get a little dog like Tiny. See?
Even if you get rid of 90% of them, when it comes to the bottleneck, when they get hungry, they will try to figure a way to feed without, you know, they got to eat.
All right,
And the
should we
same
give
thing
her
with the
up
deer.
or what?
Same thing with the deer. The deer are my wife is being distracted here, but nobody
I know
else
they
can
can't
her.
see her, but she's right there on her belly trying to fix something underneath us. I'm trying to keep a straight face.
She's not doing a very good job. I was doing an exceptional job
You
of
were.
professionalism here.
She's right there.
One time when I was doing the show in Indianapolis at the TV station that we worked with up there, I was in the middle of doing a show, and this one of the people behind the camera, there was all of these people learning to run cameras and everything. One of the people behind the camera kept pointing, and I'm all-knowing, you know, here I am up here doing my show, and I'm nodding my head, yep. And they kept pointing, yep. And I kept right on going. Well, 3/4 of the way through the show, somebody comes around behind me and pinches me, and I turned around, and when I did, the lady says, "You need to elevate something."
Oh, you had your zipper
I had
open?
my zipper open.
Oh,
and was doing
my
a
God.
show.
Now
But
you'll
I
listen.
thought I knew everything.
Now
you know.
she's on the floor behind
thought-
us. I have no idea what's going on back here.
Well, we're
That's the lovely Sydney down there
it's
on her
like-
belly behind us.
It's like when
Is that
you're-
for me?
You're flying a combat jet.
You need a new
know?
mic, apparently.
You have to. Oh, I need a new microphone. Well, of all the people, if I need a new mic, you know.
There we go.
There we go. We
Thank
take the
you,
other one off.
Sydney.
I wonder what happened. Well, anyway, we don't
I
care.
didn't know what she was up to. I don't know.
So, I hope you can hear me better
But yes,
now.
we are live tonight. It is March 24th. We are back, and the garden doctor is ready to rock and roll
That's
in the
right.
garden. Give us a call, 825-3245. He's been
We'll
waiting
see what
to
we can
hear
do to help you.
from
What
his
else-
gardening
what else
fellows
came in?
here.
Oh, we've been hearing from you.
Oh, yes.
Let me tell you. The
well,
phone's
he's
been
been
coming
waiting
off
to
the
hear
hook.
you on the phone because he's been chomping at the bit to get back
There
here
you
on
go.
the horse. Now, speaking of critters, I don't know if anybody here has ever heard of a fisher cat. Well, it's actually called a fisher. I was reading here that's a name that was given by New Englanders to this critter called a fisher cat. It's actually a relative of a weasel, and it is a vicious animal.
Where are you reading this? It's a martin.
What do you mean it's a martin? What
It's
does
a
that
martin.
mean? And it's not related to a cat just because it's
not
called a
related to a
fisher
cat, no.
But it says that they're found from northern Alaska all the way through New England, and they used to be quite common, but they were killed off due to over-trapping, logging, and land conversion, it says. But because of trapping regulations and agricultural abandonment, which I think means
Nobody's tilling the ground
well,
up there.
that and because we're doing instead of clear-cut logging, they're doing selective logging and leaving more environment.
Well,
So the fisher
agriculture,
cat
we're
is actually,
abandoning the farms. Without the farms, they don't have all of the small critters
Well, they live on their preferred squirrels,
So there's no
mice,
fields.
rats,
With the
that
no
type of thing.
fields,
And it
right.
also, I didn't realize this, it says they prefer to run and travel on ridges. And they will cross over into valleys only to get to another ridge to travel. Well, and,
And
the
they
reason,
also like to shadow trees, let me tell you. I've seen
well,
them.
they're a scary animal, and they literally will
very
track
scary.
you. My father came face to face with one in the woods one time in New Hampshire, and he said it was an animal he never wanted to see again as long as he lived. But while we were in New Hampshire, he found something in the barn. It looked like fur. We didn't know what it was. Was this an old fur coat? No, it was not. It was a dead Fisher cat. Now, granted, I've spent many hours out in Dad's barn just poking around, looking at things, solitary
You
time.
could go to New England, all of New England, all of your life, and never see a Fisher cat. You could live in New England all of your
never
life
see a
and
Fisher
never
cat.
see a Fisher
Yet
cat.
there was a dead one in the barn where we
Unless
had-
you trap.
And it had to be in the barn at some point when I was in the barn. There it is. That is a picture of the dead
Now,
animal.
yeah, that's the dead animal. Now,
Oh, my
The
gosh.
maximum, that is in an adult sled, one of the big flying
Yeah, the
saucers. Not a
toboggan
little
you
one,
sit in,
big
yeah.
flying saucer. And an adult is only supposed to get up to a maximum 15 pounds.
Wouldn't you say that was a 25-pound
That
animal?
was a 25-pounder if I ever saw a 25-pounder.
And the teeth on it like a weasel with
It was,
Oh,
it was gigantic. Now,
it was scary dead. Look at this thing. Very scary.
there are critters up there that are mean, but that was right in the barn. That, if you can see the teeth right there, those are
And the
those
truth
are
is,
lovely
that's why
things.
you don't let your little dog out at night, and that's why there are no stray cats, because a stray animal doesn't last
stray
very
cat,
long.
not up there.
A Fisher cat will take
We
it
have
out.
the bobcats are coming back too up
Yes,
there, and they
yes.
are beautiful.
And
They
they're
look-
all over southern
They
New
look like a
Hampshire.
clown. Their face is so gorgeous, and they
Beautiful
wouldn't
animals.
hurt you for love nor money unless you got between them and their cubs.
Right.
But
But a Fisher cat will stalk you.
well, yeah,
so
I've-
the rumors have it.
yeah, well, I think a lot of it's curiosity. I'm not sure that they're really, they're awful vicious to look at. And I've come face to face with one on a couple of different occasions. They like to be up in the ledges, and I like to go in the ledges hunting. So when I would sneak around the moss-covered ledges, I have caught one or two of them sunning themselves, and they raise up and they hiss just like a cat.
Well, it's quite an
and
animal.
they are nothing to mess
And
with.
just knowing it had been in the barn at the same time as I. Now, my daughter-in-law, who is very into collecting skulls and bones, she is saving this animal's carcass.
Not human. She doesn't collect
No,
human
no.
bones.
She is literally saving this animal's carcass so she can have the skull. I mean, it is so rare that she has, raccoons, possums, different animals, but to have a skull.
And I
of
have a
Fisher
feeling
cat,
that this
wow.
Fisher cat is, if it's not a record breaker, it's an amazingly
Well, he
large.
probably should have reported it to DNR, come to think of it, because I don't recall seeing one ever.
Well, one that size. There are a lot of them in New Hampshire, though. You see a lot of tracks up there, and an animal can be secretive, but they can't travel through the snow-covered woods without leaving tracks. They just can't do it. And during the hunting season, we had snow, and we saw quite a few places where there was evidence of the Fisher cat.
So that was
gardening.
exciting.
Yes, and we
All
got some
right,
more
now we got to
pictures
get back to
share with you.
gardening instead of wildlife. Okay, we got the rabbits. Okay, hit hard with deep freeze. I have some of my shrubs that have never been brown before, and now they are. Are they dead? How do I know? When is it time to give up?
Yep, they're dead. Give up.
That's what I say. Cut them off. Give up. You won't have to mow around them anymore.
Many
No.
plants put on a discoloration that is more and more severe as they withdraw moisture from the needles. So what you get is something that turns browner and browner and browner. And they also could be damaged. And that is a bruise or an injury, just like your skin when you get a tan. It's not really healthy. It's brown skin. It's bruised, and the foliage on a plant can also get bruised in a very similar manner. Wind, drying out too much. The cold weather, especially extreme cold. Salt is a terrible thing to throw on a plant. So roadside plants are always affected. Smog will get them. pollution will get them, heat from a wood stove or a furnace directly venting right into them.
What about a dryer vent?
A dryer vent can be disastrous to a plant in a severe cold winter. And you know, the number one cause of house fires, if you've watched the ads on television, is dryer vents being plugged up, dryers.
Well, that also was told to me by a friend of mine who worked at Hartzell's, who does fire cleanup and restoration, that many, many house fires a year are started by clogged dryer vents.
When the snow slides off the roof and it falls down on the side of your house, oftentimes that snow will cover the dryer vent because it's not being used, or knock the dryer vent loose, or bend it, or tip it over. The very first thing we do when we go to a house to check a house, even if I'm not going to do any work there or anything else, is I go and find the dryer vent. Every house has one. And I check the dryer vent, and I actually reach up inside and I go and ask the people to turn their dryer on to see if I can, from the outside, see if there's any blockage. That's the very first thing you want to check. And it should be checked 3, 4, 5 times during the winter months.
And
but
don't let your
especially now,
husband do
check it right
laundry
now.
if he's not experienced, because he personally will clog the dryer vent, which I had to check.
I know
up at
nothing about this
That's
newfangled
right.
equipment.
I know,
It
right.
goes round, 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 round. Water comes out, suds go all over the
Again,
floor. I don't know.
magically you have clean clothes.
I don't know how
you
that
know?
works.
Also, I have a question. Apparently, we went over at one of the shows last year about taking cuttings off of an apple tree,
Oh, yeah.
and they're asking how was it you
As a
said
matter
to
of
go
fact,
about
I
that?
am headed sometime this next 2 weeks to Constance's house to get cuttings off in a tree that I
hi,
believe
Carolyn.
was planted or purchased, no, perhaps not planted by, but purchased, and is an offspring of a Johnny Appleseed apple tree. Before I get into that, many of the trees that are in New Hampshire, as a matter of fact, some of them growing in my wife's father's yard and in my mother's yard and other yards up there, were pre-Johnny Appleseed. These trees, these apple trees, go back 250 years. The house that we were hunting out back of and that we were logging on the side of, and that has apple trees around it. The house was, I believe, 17, the pictures in the collage that I'm going to show you here in a little bit, but I think it was 1735 or 25. How many years ago would that be?
Let's see. You were about 3.
Hey, just never mind.
I don't know.
Anyway, cutting from an apple tree, what you want to do is get a new, young, fresh bud. Get it about 6 inches long. Not much longer. Don't get the great big, you don't need a whole bunch. Matter of fact, that'll be to your detriment. You want to have something about 6 inches long. Make sure it's the young
Did you
bud.
say that's about 6 inches
Yeah,
long?
I just quit.
Okay.
Then you cut that off there at an angle, okay? And then take a knife, scrape a couple of the old buds sideways, and scarf or scar the bark so that the root structures will come out from there. They oftentimes will come out right where the side buds are, or they'll come out where you've scarfed it, or right at the bottom of the plant. Now you want to, or at bottom where you cut it off from the mother plant. Now you dip it in water, you dip it in root tone, which will stimulate root growth. Then you set it down in a bed of wet sand with a little bit of peat moss in it. If you can, start it in the house, because that'll give it a little head start growing some roots. But if you can't, that's fine. Just set it out in a plot in your garden and put a jar over each one if you can. If you can't, again, it'll just take them longer and you'll have less of them result. If you would like to have 5, try to grow a dozen. If you'd like to have a dozen, try to grow 2 dozen, because the chances are you're going to lose a number of them. Now, this will work with just about any woody ornamental that is not extremely coarse. Some of them grow so slow and so hard that they're very difficult to.
Well, I have a question about this, because like rose bushes, your hybrid rose bushes are grafted onto a hardier rootstock.
Right.
Now, by taking this cutting and making it grow roots, it has the rootstock of whatever it's growing. It's not grafted to a hardier rootstock. So is it a weaker tree?
Yes, probably it is. But if it's not grafted, and you can tell if there's no big knot down there somewhere at the bottom, then it's not grafted. If it's not grafted, if it's a true stock like a viburnum or many of the apple trees are non-grafted. If that's the case, then you'll have a true copy of that tree. Whereas the seed from the apple may not grow that apple. That it could be sterile. Pollination
often you
could
don't
be a problem.
get from seed like I learned that in Florida with citrus. I planted a seed from a navel orange, and it grew into a tree that made a giant sweet grapefruit, but it certainly wasn't a navel orange. It grew something totally different.
Yeah, and that's can be the case. There are some that are true to seed, but for the most part, no. So you want to look. So what do you do if it is a grafted tree? Well, you can take a chance. You're going to have a weaker strain probably, or you can do the same thing as they did because the strong roots are available. And you can look them up. Normally what you're using is a crabapple. So if you take cuttings off of the crabapple this year, get those roots going, then next year take a cutting off from your apple tree that needs a stronger root structure and graft it onto this root structure that you've already started from the crabapple.
And grafting isn't as difficult as you think.
No,
it's about
not.
making a V and making a thing
Yeah,
and winding it together, right? And it'll grow together. And then don't back over it with your van.
Don't do that.
That's what I did, and it's deadly to a plant, definitely, deadly. Now, we've been chatting up 41 minutes of the
Holy
show
crap,
here.
we're going to
Did
run
you
some
wanna
photos.
run
Let's
some
run some
photographs?
pictures I caught him asleep.
I better-
He's
hey,
next door.
we
There he
can
is.
talk
There he
all
comes.
night.
He's running.
Oh,
Look at that.
look at
See?
that.
These people are just amazing. That is known as snow frost. Now, out here, we don't get that. What happens in New England is you have this crystallized snow that is so bitter, crisp cold that it just floats down.
I can hear the
and
voices.
and it stacks up on the foliage, on the branches.
It is beautiful.
Stacks straight up, and there is not a breath of air to blow it off. But if you just stood up to that
Look
and
at
went,
that road. That's
it would-
up the road
all
from
that-
my father's
Yep,
barn. Right
all
there.
that would just blow right off in those trees.
But I hear the voices going, I am never moving there.
These are birch around the field up at my brother's house there, and the pines in the background. But look at how cold that looks.
You have to
Doesn't that make you
photograph.
feel
It's
good
just
at
so
17
beautiful.
Yeah, that you see that almost every day.
Snowing at Dad's barn.
That's it was during a snowstorm actually. Beautiful snowstorm.
Now look at that.
The snow banks up there were about 12 foot.
It builds up.
We had anything that was plowed up was between 10 and 12 foot. And
did.
that's my aunt's shop. That is my father when he found out, that's my father-in-law, when he found out that my wife was tearing his entire bathroom apart, he went and got his bazooka and his top hat, and he's going to go kick some butt.
He wouldn't care if I tore his bathroom down, I don't think.
That's my co-conspirator. You can see he's a little
Yes,
strange.
that's
He's-
James, my grandson.
Yeah, he's a little
you
out
guys
there.
are working on me behind my back, huh?
That is my lovely granddaughter. That's
Well, she was here on the show with us
she
a
was,
couple
yeah,
of summers
she was here.
ago.
Yes, she was.
She
And,
just went on a trip to
yeah,
Canada
she
with her
did.
school trip.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
she speaks French. That's her father.
That's my daddy. Cutting a
he's-
log.
Yeah, converting the logs that we cut down into lumber. That's
Yes.
a cant laying up on there.
Yeah, look at all this equipment you guys
Now
were
this is a
operating.
very interesting tool. It's called a Farmy winch. They're made by different companies, but it's a Farmy winch. It hooks on the back of a very medium to small tractor, and we were able to winch out logs that were almost 3 foot across.
You couldn't put your arms around
3
them.
foot across. They had to weigh thousands of pounds, and we winched them out. This cable is massive. It goes out 100 feet. And of course, it was my job to trudge through the 5 foot snow, hook up to the log, winch it up to the tractor, pull it off the mountain. Wow, we didn't have to go very far. We were just in a parking
I was
lot.
going to say, don't carry away. Me and my dad.
Yeah,
What's
there he
wrong
is.
with my hair in this
I
picture?
don't know.
I have no
It's-
idea.
Yeah, this is not wintertime, by the way. And there's Nancy
Yay.
with Tiny.
Aw.
That's the one that got the implant.
She got her eye fixed. It changed her world.
Oh, she is just in seventh heaven. Now, she surely doesn't look 74.
No, she's 70 now, yeah.
There's my Aunt Bonnie and my Auntie B, the one that raised me. They, whenever there's an opportunity, my family has a party. And we have lots of parties. We
Sure
get
do.
together for dinners everywhere
Yeah,
on
got
a
to.
continuous basis. My sister Shirley, she is a co-conspirator in all
We
of this
didn't
stuff.
get to spend as much time with her and her husband and
Nope.
Norm this time around. One
That
of
was
our
a party.
outdoor
What was that
parties.
for?
I don't know. If
Eddie's
remember.
birthday, I think.
Yeah,
or
something like
Yeah.
that. We
Just
always
one
have
after
an
another.
excuse.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's the whole gang. There's my brother Ed and
Bing and Dad
Yep.
and Nancy.
There's Nancy
yeah.
again, yeah.
Our whole family up there. Yeah. Oh, that was when he shaved his beard. That is his cousin Gordon. Now look how much alike they look. Well, I think he's a little bit skinnier than you are
Yeah,
right now.
just a
but
little bit,
There's
yeah.
no denying you're both a Matthews. No, I mean look at his face. You guys could be brothers
Ah,
instead
well.
of cousins.
we came from the same stock.
That's when we cut off his ponytail and shaved his beard.
Yeah, that's
He
the
said,
one
"I'll
that did
do
that.
it right now." Oh, that was quite a
That's-
while ago.
Yeah, that
Couple
was
years.
a year or two. That's Elliot. I didn't have a good picture of Elliot.
Uncle and Wesley and Jedediah.
Elliot helped with the logging. He helped with the work down at David's.
He's awesome, Uncle.
Everything we do up there is done as a family. Everybody gets together. People come in and pitch in and do things, and we just fix things. These are the views that you get from the Sculptured Rocks right up the street from my house. It's a beautiful national forest and national park, a couple thousand acres.
It's where
there.
the glaciated
You
water.
see how blue
wore.
the ice is there? It's so pure a water that the ice is blue, crystal blue.
And it wore caverns through this riverbed, and it's just beautiful.
This ice falls that's coming out of the side of the mountain there, cascaded down about 45 foot, down from the shadow side. This cavern here goes down in quite deep, and I actually dove off a bridge into that hole when I was a kid. It was about a 18,
when you
20
were young
foot
and
drop.
fearless.
Now this ice on the other side is polluted by the salts coming off on the road. That's why it's yellow. It is not, as people suspect, the moose travel that area.
That's not pea sickles?
And urinate up on there. No, it's not. You can't quite see, but many of those icicles are crystal clear. You can see right through them because, again, the purity of the water up there.
You're freezing everybody to death here trying to get ready to
I want to.
garden.
I want them to feel warm. You can look in the water up there and see 14 foot deep and see a quarter.
Yes, you can.
That's the kind of blizzards we get up on
Yep,
top of the
during
mountain.
a storm,
Yeah.
right there. Yep.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Every day is like a postcard up there. And of course it fascinates us more because we don't live there. It's just absolutely beautiful, gorgeous country to
Most
view.
people who live there aren't that impressed.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. They get up and they
do.
enjoy the snow. They really enjoy.
Well,
the
there's
snow.
so many
That's my
industry.
blueberry bushes.
Very much industry on snow. You got snowmobiling and horse.
That's the mountain with crystal frost.
Not
And this,
horseshoeing,
This was
snowshoeing.
all the time. That's a road going into a house. There is actually a house back in there and people living there.
People ski and
Yeah.
sled and just.
But they don't bother to plow their driveways. That is what's left of my father-in-law's house when my wife got done.
That's not true. That chimney's been standing in a field for 100 years.
That house burnt down 125 years ago. Again, just the birches bent over. That's the log, some of the production that when we were logging up there, my brother and I, we brought some logs down to my father-in-law, and he's going to render them
That's
into
gonna keep
lumber
Dad in firewood and lumber for a whole
so that
lot
we
of
can
summers.
do some additions. That's the result of, we tore out his entire bathroom, rebuilt it, took a lot of the wood that he had cut himself on his old circular mill.
Some of it
butternut,
25 years ago.
Oak, wormy oak. It
I
was
used
beautiful.
antique fixtures to keep it in tune with the house.
There's Aunt
and-
Nancy again. That's when, I think that's before she got her implant.
Yeah, she probably couldn't see that you were taking her picture.
Yeah.
there.
There's your father that's his birthday. He didn't know that all of these people were going to be injurious to him. My Nancy, that's the whole crew there. It's my mother way to the far right, her ex-mother-in-law.
Yeah, but she's still your mother.
Oh, yeah. And there's my brother with his wife, Rita there.
And you got Gidget and Angel. Don't forget them.
Gidget and Angel came over and house set for us.
Yes, they did.
That's the size of the logs that Farmy is capable of pulling out.
This is how what family is. When I got called away to go to Rhode Island.
Now that's the A-team right there.
That's the A-team?
That's the A-team. They called us in. You know, they had this lot that they didn't know what to do.
Is that David on the left?
That's David.
That's the one who's lucky to be alive.
He's barely standing up. Yes, yes.
When we got called away to Rhode Island to see him in the hospital, Ed and Rita, his brother and sister-in-law, actually moved in our house and took care of my father, prepared meals, did laundry while we were away.
Slept in the chair some nights.
That's what they did.
Yep.
That's what you do.
That's what family does. There's my Farmy. It was about 17 below that day. That is an aurora borealis sunset.
Isn't that gorgeous?
That is a pretty common sight up there, and the people just go out and thoroughly enjoy it.
And I just snapped photographs.
Nobody stays in the house.
Oh, that's me driving the equipment or pretending to. I was looking pretty good, like I was pretending to drive it.
Big giant excavator.
Yeah.
Look at this thing.
Yeah, look at that.
We had to push over some big trees, so. And here she is.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. Well, I think
said, all this snow, by gosh, I'm going sledding. So he drove me up to the top of the hill so I could slide down.
Yes. What is that?
Oh, my God. I'm going to kill you when we get home.
I don't think that's you, honey. Wasn't that somebody else?
I will kill you for that.
There's
Fisher Cat.
The Fisher Cat again. Now, the Fisher Cat's a bad dude, but you don't want to run across a wolverine or a badger. They are badder than a Fisher Cat.
Wow. Well, you see how big that sled was? That's a full-size
Now, that's a
toboggan.
barn that was built out of the lumber that was cut off from that mountain, sawed with a sawmill, and just nailed up. They do not paint. They don't use preservative. They don't do anything but just cut the lumber, saw it into boards, nail it up, and you're done. There's my Uncle Johnny.
We didn't get to visit with him much this time around.
No, we sure didn't. We sure didn't. And there's Uncle Jimmy in the background there.
Yeah, he just passed away.
Yeah.
We'll sure miss him.
It's beautiful, beautiful New England. Anybody ever wants to take a trip up in that direction, just give me a call. You see all those little black dots out there? Those are bob houses on the lake.
That is a frozen lake.
That is Newfound Lake. And they're fishing out there. There's a truck down at the far end down there parked out in the middle.
There's trucks and little huts they build, drill a hole in the ice and go fishing. It's insane.
It's not insane. That's my father-in-law's sawmill.
Covered with snow.
Yep. Again, and
there's your chimney again.
I like that chimney.
I do too. It photographs well too.
Now that's the
Hunter's Rest.
I think that's Hunter's Rest. Yeah, we had an 1814 house. I can't read that year. What does that say?
I don't know.
1780, 1640. Who knows?
Thank you. We don't have any glasses on.
1780.
Hunter's Rest
is when that was built. My father used to lease this property for the hunters that used to come up, but there's very few deer anymore in the mountains of New England. They were killed out with some serious.
Apparently, you and your dad did a whole lot of poaching up there. No, I didn't say that.
You still can't take all the deer.
No.
Look at the snow. Now that snow just stacked up on hardwood branches, and that never happens down here. I've never seen that here. One of the things that amazed me was the amount of fruit that still hung in the trees up there.
You would think the birds would be hungry, would have attacked every bit of it.
Well, the birds do, and it's down to the wire now, so that's why that's all they got to eat.
The only birds we have up there is crows, and that's because my father feeds them. And your Aunt Bee has birds, but she puts out feeders all the time. But you have to fight off the bears. That's the last picture, and look at those icicles.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
running those. I had some other ones of the logging and my brother and I doing the work up there. I'll try to share them with you later.
And when we're not here, that is our favorite place to be in the whole wide
world.
world.
Oh yes, we love it up there. The fishing's fabulous. The hunting not so good. The bear hunting though is very good.
Well, the hunting is good, but there's not very many deer.
It's beautiful to hunt up in those mountains. It's absolutely gorgeous because you can go for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and never see a no hunting sign.
I know.
Never be on a posted property. Nice. Never have somebody ugly and vicious and yelling at you, and which happens quite often down here, and it does, unfortunately, because everybody is so aggressively defensive of their They're
Well, we've
chock
got a
full of
few
ground.
minutes left for some
You better hurry
gardening
up
questions
because you're
here.
running down a few minutes.
I had a question here. Somebody wanted to know what was the problem with their house plants, that everything's been the same for the last 20 years. It was cold outside, but nothing ever changed in my house.
Things did change in your house. It was very cold outside, and if you had your plants close to the window as you've had them before, then the plants were colder than they were before. Because of all of the overcast that we had and the lack of sunlight, you had less light than they normally get. So you did have a conditional change. You also had the heater running a lot more than you normally would have for longer periods of time, so the plants get dried out. So yes, there was a big change inside your house, even though you may not know it. So all the plants need is a shot of fertilizer, give them a drink of water, move them away from the window a little bit next time it gets that cold, and make sure that they're not by a heat vent, and I think you'll be fine. What else you got?
Oh, I've got a fishing question. What do you think about the white bass run this year?
It'll be late, 52 degrees. You got to have 52 degrees before the bass are going to run up the river.
52-degree water.
52-degree water, yes. And you also have to watch the conditions. Watch what happens around. Until the bait falls, the stuff falls into the river and flushed into the river, they have no reason to be there. So 52 degrees.
Well, we have not fished since last spring, white bass fishing, until last Wednesday, Thursday. It was 70 degrees.
You weren't white bass fishing?
No, we went out to the river behind our house with my son, who's here with us now. And guess who caught 2 nice little smallmouth? So, yes. Okay, where can you buy, why can't you buy bulk? Oh, I can't read. Why can't you buy peat in bulk anymore? I don't have glasses on, that's why. Remember when I used to have to wait in line to get my wash tubs filled with peat at Neil's? And worm castings, real rich topsoil. Haven't seen any rich dark piles of crap around unless you count the ones oozing out of certain official buildings downtown. Oh, wow, did I was supposed to read that?
I don't know. That's what the email said.
That's what it said.
Actually, the email
Whoops.
went into a great deal more detail than that.
Wow.
But
Sorry.
the big piles of peat, I used to love it. I would get big semi-loads of sphagnum peat in, big semi-loads of worm castings in from the gentleman right up here, as a matter of fact. He had the plumbing place for a
Rhymes with.
while. Anyway,
Yeah.
he had a place where he grew night crawlers, and I would collect the worm castings, which is what's left over after you grow night crawlers. Some of the best soil you could get
Very
your
rich
hands
in
on.
nutrients.
And I had giant piles of it. And then I would sell him the sphagnum peat at a discount so that I could get the worm castings, and we had a good arrangement worked out there. And then the people of Connorsville would come in with their wash tubs and fill them up a shovelful at a time. We'd have ladies 70, 80 years old. We'd go out and volunteer to help them. No, I've been doing this for years. Get on away from me. And they'd go on about their business and come in and pay for their stuff. Unfortunately, it's just not, I don't think anybody should offer bulk because people just don't get out and do that anymore. They want to buy it in a convenient bag, so you're not going to see that, I don't think. And if I had a nursery, I probably wouldn't bring it back. I wouldn't try to sell in bulk because of the lack of cleanliness and convenience.
I think you got time for one more. Had
Yep.
a bad fruit year, 4 years in a row, and my garden was very poor for the last few also. What is your prediction for this year, and how can I improve anything?
Oh boy, there's a lot of things you can do to improve. You got to spray, but one of the most important things to do is uniform moisture. You want to mulch heavy and keep the mulch back away from the trunk of fruit trees because of the mice. It attracts mice and they gnaw on the trunks of the trees. But on your vegetable plants, you got to keep a uniformity of moisture. Now, if you get too much moisture, that can be a problem too. So if you're using the plastic as a mulch and it's angled properly, it'll run the excess moisture away from it. So it's very important to get rid of the excess and to keep what you've got and to add a uniform level. Don't overwater, and make sure you fertilize. Plants that grow in the same soil over and over and over again, our parents never used to do that. They rested the soil. They'd grow the garden over here for a couple of years. Then they'd move it over here and then over here. I always put manure on it in the fall. Always put something on it in the spring. We only have a minute, so.
Well, I'm hoping that everyone
Thank you
is
for your
watching
calls.
tonight and getting their questions ready for next month's live show. Watching tonight, get your questions
Oh, Christopher's
together.
got a show coming up too. Our
Oh,
son,
yeah.
I'm not sure when that is, but he's
I
got
don't,
an airing.
but
Christopher
watch
and Jen.
TV3 for your ads.
TV3, they're going to have a show about organic cooking, healthy healthy cooking, things
And
like
they
that.
will be advertising that. But get your questions together for us, and we'll be back here next month.
I'm going to teach a belly dancing class. Oh no, that's been canceled. That's right.
Thank
I was
the
going to do
Lord.
that, but thank you so much for
Wow.
your calls. Thank you for all of the cards and letters and all
And thank
of your.
you for your support during our rough times as well.
We appreciate it very, very much, and we look very much forward to coming in to present all of these questions to you and to answer your questions. We really do enjoy what we do. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
The Garden Doctor.